Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is the Socialist Report. We got this article from Liberation. A PSL editorial in the U.S. economic war on Venezuela now. This is by Liberation staff. A new agreement between the Venezuelan government and U.S.-controlled opposition parties is raising hopes for an improvement in the country's economic situation and highlighting the cruel and unjust nature of the U.S. imposed sanctions regime that Venezuela has been suffering under for years. The deadly policy of economic war must come to an end. On Saturday, negotiators announced that a partial accord had been reached that would allow approximately $3 billion of currently frozen public assets held abroad to be used by a United Nations-run fund to purchase crucial goods like medicine and food. So basically, United States sanctions on Venezuela have been harming the working class of the country, not the rich, and throw the idea out of sanctions altogether because they are trying to harm this country for being socialist. These assets rightfully belong to the government and people of Venezuela, but were essentially stolen by foreign powers hostile to the country's socialist project, as the U.S.-directed regime change intensified in recent years. At the same time, the Biden administration announced that it was granting a temporary waiver to the oil company Chevron to resume operations in Venezuela. At the beginning of 2019, the United States imposed an all-out embargo on oil exports, the most important sector of the Venezuela economy in terms to generate national income and government revenue for social programs. The United States has also cut off Venezuela from purchasing essential chemicals and spare parts necessary for the industry to function. The license to Chevron comes as Venezuela continues to make efforts to revive oil production. This agreement is an important achievement of the revolutionary government that will alleviate people's suffering under the blockade. For instance, head government negotiator George Rodriguez explained that as a result of the deal, 60,000 cancer patients would be able to receive treatment. But Venezuela should not have to negotiate over control of its own assets. The United States should immediately cease all coercive measures targeting the Venezuelan economy and instead adopt a policy of respect for the country's independence. The sanctions on Venezuela, totaling around 500 different measures, are designed to cause maximum suffering on the population. This, the strategist of U.S. empire hopes, will destabilize the government and cause people to lose faith in the process of socialist transformation called the Bolivarian Revolution, which began in 1998 with the election of Hugo Chavez. This campaign began under the Obama administration with the official declaration in 2015 that Venezuela posed an extraordinary threat to national security and escalated into a generalized blockade under Trump, who has orchestrated the Juan Guaido failed coup attempt. A report last year by United Nations Special Rapporteur Alina Dohan found that the sanctions prevented the purchase of blood reagents in 2020 for 2.5 million patients and 123,000 others in need of blood transfusions. She also found that 2.6 million children were deprived of vaccine. 80,000 HIV and AIDS patients had to suspend their treatment, and that as much as 80% of hospital equipment was not working for lack of availability of spare parts. The United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization recorded a 213.8% spike in undernourishment or chronic hunger. The sadistic policy should not go on one day longer. Likewise, the ridiculous policy of the U.S. government recognizing Juan Guaido as the legitimate president of Venezuela needs to come to an end. In many cases, it was the false claims by Guaido's administration to ownership over government assets held abroad that gave authorities in those countries cover to freeze them. Alex Saab, a Venezuelan diplomat who was arrested at the behest of U.S. authorities while he is working to secure food and other essential imports, should be immediately freed. The U.S. government wants to strangle the country's socialist project, but even under the extreme hardships of the economic war, Venezuela remains determined to defend its independence. Venezuelans should be free to develop their own social model, free from any form of coercion, even if it infringes on the profits of US-based capitalists. And that concludes this video. Tell me your thoughts down below. And yeah, we should end the imperialism in America, leave other countries to do what they want to do, and if Venezuela wants to be socialist, they should be allowed to be socialist. But what they're really trying to do is damage the reputation of socialism, so that the working class, once they get fed up with capitalism, won't look to socialism. They'll deliver them fascism, and then they'll choose fascism, and they'll be in the same situation. Kind of what Donald Trump did. So that's going to conclude this video. Thank you for watching. Make sure you hit that like button. Check out Liberation, the magazine from the Party for Socialism and Liberation. This has been the Socialist Report, and peace out.